know how I do. No time to waste. Let's get it. Let's go.
Tonight, pointing fingers, Joe Biden joined Anna and the women of The View today and gave his explanation for what went wrong in November.
So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race.
I've seen some criticism of that, saying that it's not the full picture.
I mean, I think there is a lot to do with that. I mean, I think anybody who says that that has absolutely nothing to do with it is just not being intellectually honest. Was that the whole reason? To your point, is that the full picture? Of course not. That's not the full picture. I think that there were economic headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. I think that there were immigration headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. And I also think that there were people who felt as if, and if this is the most amazing stat that came out of the most recent election. Are you better off 4 years ago? Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the overwhelming majority of people answered that question no. Kamala Harris was more than qualified to be president of the United States, and I'm not sure that any Democrat, and I say this again, would have beaten Donald Trump in that race.
But why can't Joe Biden understand that? That it was immigration, the economy. Why? I mean, I thought that was one of the most striking things was his unwillingness to even acknowledge that maybe some of the issues had to do with it too.
No, if you watch the entire interview, he did acknowledge it, and he took responsibility. He said, look, I was in charge, so yeah, the buck stops with me. I was, it is my responsibility. I think part of what happened between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and this entire election is that there's a lot of affection and loyalty between the two. There was a lot of gossip for 4 years that they didn't like each other, that he was undercutting her, that she was unhappy. I think she couldn't.
Donald Trump's approval ratings are the lowest of any president in history. It's at 42%. Biden's was pretty high. Obama's was high, so was Bush's, right? This is actually me throwing a bone to Trump. I don't think anybody coming in to the economy after COVID, any of the presidents that spend the 8 years trying to fix what happened during COVID, was going to get a good reaction from the American people because of everything that happened. Inflation, jobs lost, building back what we were trying to do in America. Overwhelming people said no, but I think we were going to a better trajectory because Trump's first quarter is predicated on what Biden did. And it was doing good until Trump started adding all the things that he added into it. But we're going to stay on Biden. They're talking about sexism, racism, and that kind of stuff. We know it played a role in it. But I wouldn't say it was a significant role. It wasn't a significant role.
And distance herself from him out of loyalty. And I think today what you heard from him was a lot of deference and affection towards his vice president, a role that he played.
But let me ask you a question, though. He said he wasn't surprised that she lost, but that he would have won the race. That's like saying, well, I was a boat anchor on my vice president, so she drowned in this election. But the anchor itself would have floated. That is crazy talk for him to say that.
He did not say that he would have won the race.
He literally said, I wasn't surprised, but I would have won. The idea that he believes to this day, here's the thing, more issue.
I mean, he not only said that, but he has said it repeatedly.
Here's the thing. Wait. Let's go back to what you said about racism. Can we just take a moment and talk about a white guy saying that racism's watch and win, and also the same white guy, Joe Biden, says I would have won. Like, you were one and the same person here. Like, if you're going to blame racism...
Cut it out, buddy. Biden did some things in the past. But when he became president, he tried to right those wrongs. And that's really all we care about in the black community. Righting the wrongs. If you come in and you try to right the wrongs, everything's good. Donald Trump is not righting the wrongs. For those of you trying to think, oh, he's dumping monies in the colleges, so did Biden. So did Obama. He's rolling back. But the one thing he's doing that's different than Biden is Donald Trump is rolling back on almost every single program that has any type of litigation to protect black people when they're out here trying to get jobs and doing what they need to do. It completely he's removing things from historical places in order to have those type of conversations. He's removing historical things about black people from certain places and museums, and what I've heard. I gotta look more into it, but I've seen it. I've seen it happening, and I think that's more than we're not gonna, no matter how hard the right tries to get us to focus on Biden and racism with Biden, it doesn't connect because of what he did in his presidency. It won't connect because of what he did in his presidency. It just won't.
It's absurd. My point is, the idea that she lost because of racism is absurd. She lost because the country was in a disastrous place, and they blamed him and his politics, and she had to defend.
Can I tell you something?
As a white guy saying, as a white guy,
you as a white guy have the privilege of saying that racism, and you as a white male.
I'm saying it's an incredible,
I am telling you right now.
Statement as a white guy to sit there and say, I would have won with the same policy.
As a woman of color, I am telling you that it is incredibly ridiculous for you, with the privilege that being a white male gives you in this country, to say that there wasn't some element of racism
I think it was
and
terrible
sexism.
Policy, but I think if you guys stick with this idea.
I'm going to be real. What she just said, I think, is why she lost. What she just said. We got to find a way to communicate with white people without making it seem like they're other. As well as white people have to find a way to communicate with us without seeming like we're other. But one way to not do it, even though there's truth in what she said, like, they don't hear that. They hear, oh, you're just trying to shut me up with the term white privilege because that's what Rush Limbaugh has convinced them. Like, so we have to find another way to get the point across that in this society, it's a little easier for you to do things compared to other people. Yeah. It's just a little easier. That's all. Doesn't mean that other people can't do it. You just have more of a leeway to get these things done because more people in places of power that can put you onto these situations look more like you. That's all.
Hold on. If you stick with this plan, which is every time we lose an election, racism has to be involved.
That's not what I just said. I literally gave you a full picture.
Yeah,
I gave you a full picture. And what I'm also saying is that, yes, I believe Joe Biden saying he'd win the election is delusional, right? So I said that because I also said that there's a certain point. But let me also explain with the equal level of delusion, you do understand that black folk, particularly black women, have to run twice as fast as you do to achieve the same goal. And if you do not understand...
I disagree with that.
You can.
I disagree with that
but you can, and I'm just telling you that is the experience, whether or not you're in politics or the business world or education.
Let me ask you this. Joe Biden from the candidacy, if what you're saying is true, then he would have won overwhelmingly. Because you're saying it was twice as hard for him to win.
Let me just actually ask you something. Because
you're not making any sense.
You just said that it's twice as hard for an African-American woman to win.
Given what you just said, if you believe that it would have been twice as hard for Kamala Harris to win, isn't it even more important for Joe Biden to have given her the ability to
that's a question, but that's not a question. And Anna brought up a good point because out of all the people I said it's a good question. I said out of all the people that are sitting around this table, I was actually a part of those discussions. And the person who did not want to distance himself because of loyalty, although she might not have had the loyalty given back from some of the women, particularly who were around Joe Biden, was Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but did Joe Biden say? But did Joe Biden ever say?
She did have it from Joe Biden.
Did Joe Biden ever say to her, "You need to do exactly what you need to do to win this election. You need to pursue a policy that is what you need." So that's the answer,
right? I cannot let this go. I cannot let this go on this show in front of millions of Americans who will watch this, whether or not it's on Snapchat, TikTok, or Twitter. The point still remains when we're talking about the issue of race and gender in this country, that everyone is not on equal playing fields. That the fact that, yes, we have a black woman, whether or not she is in academia, whether or not she's in business or in politics,
then are you going to run her again?
The field is not equal.
Candidate?
She's actually the best candidate for governor of the state of Georgia and whatever else she wants to do.
If she's so good, and it's only an issue of what you're saying.
I said California, what'd I say?
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Scott, hold on, Ben. Scott,
Can I
go
just
ahead.
raise one other sort of forward-looking issue? Watching him on The View today and watching some of the interviews he
Thank
did
you
over.
for your viewership.
Yeah, I saw it. It's rare for me, but I did watch it. I will just say, watching him over the last few days reminded me that a whole bunch of people were telling us with a straight face that this man was capable of serving another 4 years as president. And that these appearances, coupled with what I understand is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped on the Democratic Party when Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book come out next week, I don't know that the Democrats have fully internalized what's about to happen to them. Between what he looks like today and what they're about to report,
I am not sure that Joe Biden fully realizes even his own deficits in this moment, Anna. I think seriously, he seems to not. He was asked about it directly, and he doesn't seem to get it at all, which is part of the problem.
Well, look,
you asked some really good questions and making some really good points. Yeah, I didn't watch the interview, but from clips that I'm seeing, I'm saying the same thing. Like, is this dude somewhat delusional in a way? God.
I don't know many elected officials in any party who willingly walk away from their elected office, right? I think it's hard for everybody. Look, I think this was very hard for Joe Biden, and I think he took responsibility for that. He did not say what you just said, Scott, that he said. You said that you said that he told Kamala Harris that she could not have any distance from him.
It's been reported. He told
it doesn't
her
matter what he
blank.
wants.
He told her point blank, no daylight, kid, no daylight.
Because reporting can never be wrong?
Are you attacking the journalism around it?
You think reporting can never be wrong?
If you
come on here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him the question
There's critical
directly.
reporting about this guy, and he told her point blank, no daylight.
We asked him directly today. Did you tell her that?
You think he's ever told a lie?
I don't think he tells many lies.
Going to decline, I can tell you that much.
I don't think he tells many lies. I don't think he's done a lot. Wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election and that lies about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you just Have you read it? Have you read it?
Guys, we gotta go. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
They were all on 10 towards the end of that conversation. I didn't even understand where it was going towards the end of the conversation. They were trying to argue Biden, and they started arguing Trump, and they started arguing journalism, they started arguing multiple things. But point blank period, the Democrats need to pull themselves together, man. You need to come up with a better plan, something to get this across. And man, she's beautiful. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.